Hi there, it's Thursday. It's Dr. Tanya Yerster. I'm on my page Botanically, Alchemy of Soothing Botanic Ingredients. And today we are going to talk about the circulatory system. It's going to be something that I'm going to talk from the heart because I have a real life testimonial to share today. It's really helped me in the last 2 weeks, especially, probably more so in the last 2 days. So let's start talking about circulatory system. So before we get into what the circulatory system is, let's talk about what happened to me in the last couple of days. So there's been a couple of days of really cold spells, and as people are starting to log in, I'm going to start waving. There we go. Fantastic. Welcome, Catherine. So in the last couple of days, obviously, we've been experiencing cold weather, but it's not necessarily been freezing. All right. So this is why I didn't actually expect to see what I did in my body. So in the last couple of weeks, I've had what we call a unnatural blood vessel response in especially my fingers. And although I do always tend to have cold extremities, so cold fingers, cold feet, cold toes. My husband knows about the cold toes at night when he's home because obviously I try and snuggle up against him with my feet like plonked onto his legs just to get a little bit of heat. I've always suffered with colder hands and colder feet, but I've never really experienced any severe symptoms. Okay, so this year was quite surprising. Alison has just joined as well. Welcome. Gonna wave at you. And Gwen. Morning, Gwen. Thank you for joining again. Same to you. All right, so let's get going. Yolandi's also just logged in. Hello, Yolandi. Let me wave at you as well. Fantastic. So I had an unnatural blood vessel response, but to an extent that I actually didn't know what it was. And I started developing kind of blisters. And let me just also inform you that this kind of condition is not something that's associated with freezing weather. It's just repeated exposure to cold but not freezing weather. So I am sitting in my office now. Obviously, my job is now a little bit more desk bound. I spend quite a lot of time with my online home business in front of my computer. And yes, my fingers do tend to get a little bit cold. I've got a heater going. So my feet are okay, but you don't necessarily always think about your hands. So we are sitting still when we're in front of our computers. Our fingers are typing away, so you think they're moving. But hey, what is exposed? The knuckles? Yeah, definitely the knuckles. They're exposed. We also have Marta that's just joined in. Welcome, welcome. And basically what's happened is, obviously my knuckles were going cold, or they were continually exposed to colder air. Okay, and interestingly enough, what happened in the end is I actually developed sort of like a blister in the one joint closest to the nail of my index finger, and then a little bit further back. So that was about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, and there was actually a blister that it sort of opened because I'm quite rough with my hands. Dishwashing, washing the bath, cleaning the bathrooms, that kind of thing. So this blister sort of opened. Didn't pay any notice to it really because I do cut myself, I burn myself. So it was just another, ouchie on the finger. And I started using some essential oils that obviously are going to support that condition through those that are soothing to the skin, that support barrier health, that have antibacterial properties. And if you can't remember what that amazing wound oil mix is that I always tend to reach for in those situations, please go back and listen to a replay of my integumentary system video part 1, because in there I actually give you the recipe for specifically the wound oil, but it basically comprises oils such as helichrysum, frankincense, tea tree, and lavender. So I started applying that to the blister, and then about, I'd say a week ago, my knuckle really started swelling up. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Is this an unknown condition to me that I've never been exposed to? What is happening to my body? And that's when I'm going to now introduce to you the fact about the circulatory system, because apparently the condition I have is something that people in my family have been suffering from for a while. I've never been that severely affected, so I've never really taken notice. And I obviously didn't take good enough care of my hands in keeping them warm while I was typing away at my desk every day. So I had the amazing opportunity to go and visit my sister over the weekend. It was my niece and nephew's birthday. So basically what happened is I showed her my finger, and I'm like, what is this? And she's like, oh my word, you have the same condition that I have. And it was quite interesting then, because what it basically happened is I had this unnatural or abnormal blood vessel response because of the cold air. And usually this tends to happen to people who don't women that are really underweight, those with Raynaud's phenomenon, which is something I definitely don't have. But I know now that my symptoms are probably just due, like, sitting in front of my computer with my knuckles being exposed to the very cold air, because this room of mine is on the wrong side of the house. It's really chilly inside this room. I know, because I've got a thermometer, one of those digital ones, with a couple of decimals, because I am a scientist. So I like to see the decimals. I like to see what the temperature is, and it has been quite cold in this office. And basically my knuckles were just being exposed. Okay, so in the end, what happened was, if I had actually caught it in time, and I had, for instance, applied gloves without fingers, just for the tips, so I was able to type, or if I had been applying essential oils that improve circulation or support improved circulation, I probably would not have ended up with the inflamed joints and those red patches and purple patches, and perhaps even the blisters. Okay, so let's talk about the circulatory system, because it's a really important system in our body. If you think what the circulatory system does for you, is it brings oxygen to every single cell in the body. So it involves your heart, it involves your blood vessels, and everything. So it's not just the oxygen that needs to get to your cells. It also takes care of the toxins or the toxic waste that your cells then make after they've metabolized. So that's what you need this amazing circulatory system for. So in order to improve or support good heart health and good circulatory system, there's a good couple of healthy habits that we can just really incorporate more of on a daily basis, and more so obviously during the colder, chillier months. Okay, so I would like to remind everyone that these classes are live, and I would really prefer if we use compliant language. So please, let's refrain from using any kind of disease names or anything like that, because let's face it, healthier habits are there to support healthier lifestyles, to support your body systems, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's think of the combinations of healthier habits that are maybe going to be able to support better improved circulation. So the first thing that comes to mind is obviously moving, because the more you move, the faster your heart needs to work, and obviously the faster your blood gets pumped. Okay, and that also means that heat and oxygen are then going to go to those extremities where we need the most. All right, so I was obviously not moving enough. My fingers, although they were typing, my arms don't really move. Okay, so obviously then in that instance, the circulatory support, there was no circulatory support. My system wasn't actually doing so well. So when you do a fair amount of exercise in a day, obviously this is going to affect you less. And do always keep in mind that don't go and do an exercise all of a sudden that you're not necessarily going to love, because then you're not going to stick with it. Okay, so I am definitely not a gym person. I have never liked the gym. I am very much more a dancer, yoga, Pilates, those kind of things. So I've upped that now, and I feel a difference in the last week since I started doing it every single day again. All right, and obviously there are essential oils that can support you through your exercise, either to motivate you and uplift you, such as peppermint and wild orange. But more than that, you can also use some respiratory support essential oils that are going to open up those airways, so you can get the oxygen to your lungs, because from the lungs it gets transferred into the blood that needs to go to every single cell in your body. We also have Veronica that just joined. Welcome. Thank you for joining in today. So basically, exercise is really important, all right? Let's also start thinking about things that we take into our bodies. So what we very often don't think about are things like omega-3s, and they are crucial for good circulation, all right? So obviously we can get them through the diet. There are some really good sources available: oily fish, chia seeds and flax seeds. But also, please remember that if you are getting in oily fish, just think where they're coming from. Everything that is farmed usually has been fed some GMO food, and usually there's some heavy metal contamination. So if you're going to choose the route of going supplements wise instead, always just look for a really good supplement that only has omega-3, not the 6 and the 9, because our diets are actually too enriched with 6 and 9 in South Africa, and our ratios are completely wrong for the amount of omegas that we have. So we're looking for omega-3s, all right? And the omega-3, when you get that supplement, just make very sure that they've actually gone through the process of testing for heavy metals, because we don't want those, okay? The sources of oily fish are not that great due to pollution that carries on in the world. So just be cognizant of the fact that you need to look for a good supplement, all right? Then further than that, we also can look at things like vitamin B3. And B3 is also really good for the circulatory system. There's a reason, all of a sudden, because of the environmental threat that's around, that you can't actually buy niacin off the shelf. It's almost out of stock everywhere. But please rest assured, through the diet that we have in the more developed worlds, our diets are actually rich enough in vitamin B3. It's not necessarily something that we usually need to supplement with, but obviously if you have very poor circulation and you do need support, please go and look at niacin or vitamin B3. That's definitely going to be something that you should consider. All right. So food sources for B3 are things like fish, chicken, turkey, beef, mushrooms, even brown rice, peanuts, and avos. So I like a lot of avos. So I know B3 is quite high in my diet. But obviously, so it wasn't a B3 deficiency in my case that caused the poor circulation. Mine was definitely just a little bit too cold. Okay. So on the exercise front, if you are not someone that likes to go running or go biking, or you really just couldn't be fazed about doing things like yoga or Pilates, why not try something really quick? Because a lot of people say that they don't have the time. So there's actually quite a lot of studies now where they show that short bursts of exercise, so cardiovascular exercise or like we used to in the old days, go and do some stepping at the gym. So literally cardiovascular exercise of only 20-second bursts, but very high intensity, okay? So it's not chilled walking. That's not going to count. Not at all, okay? So it's got to be 20 seconds of intense workout, then rest slow the pace for 2 minutes, then another 20 seconds of going at it full blast, another 2 minutes slow down, and then a third cycle of 20 seconds going full blast. Okay, that is really going to energize you and wake you up, number one, but it's also they're showing now that it's going to almost have the same benefits than what you would have had for a 30-minute workout that you would be used to in the gym. Okay, so those of you that say you don't have the time, think again. There is a solution for you, okay? So 20 seconds, 20 seconds, 20 seconds, that's a minute. And then the two-minute rest periods in between where you're doing less strenuous, that's 5 minutes total, guys. Who does not have 5 minutes? Okay, so those are the top things to get the circulatory system on the go and to support it. Obviously, I love essential oils, and there's a lot of essential oils that also can support the circulatory system. So these are oils you've got to think that are going to have an anti-inflammatory effect to them. They also might have an analgesic support, and also the antioxidant ones. Okay, so all of those things are really good for the circulatory system. So when we start thinking about the anti-inflammatory oils, those are the ones that contain the chemical constituents camphor, campheine, those sesquiterpene alcohols, which are beta-caryophyllene. So here, copaiba, one of the favorites there, okay? And then also methyl salicylate. So that's the birch and the wintergreen and those kind of oils. So before we go into detail, specifically, or any more detail of the chemical constituents, I should rather say, because I know that gets quite over the head to most people, let me actually just give you a practical solution of the oils that I've been using in the last couple of days, because literally after I discovered, and my sister sort of helped me out and let me know what condition it is that I have, I then knew which essential oils to reach for. Okay, so I reached for those that had analgesic and anti-inflammatory properties to support my body, because the condition that I have actually clears up within about 3 weeks. Your body has the ability to heal naturally, remember that always. But when we do start supporting it with things like essential oils, you can speed up the process slightly. All right. So my knuckle that was so severely swollen, especially in the morning, was when I woke up. It was almost like I'd been sleeping with my finger outside of the bed. It was the weirdest thing. But it had like a lot of fluid on the inside. Okay. So it was like all puffy. And literally from applying this blend onto my knuckle area for the last 2.5 days, I'd say probably around every 3 to 4 hours, because I am still typing on the keyboard. So still getting exposed to the cold air, but applying that essential oil and then giving it a nice massage, because let's also just remember that massage is another way to get the circulation going. All right, so dry brushing as well. These are things you can do before you go for a shower, but massaging, so getting someone to give you a massage with some of these essential oils is a really good idea. So I'm going to mention some of the single essential oils that were really beneficial in supporting me, but then I'm also going to mention some blends that are specifically designed and researched to synergistically work together to be able to support you with those kind of conditions. Okay, so let's do the single ones first. So the ones with the anti-inflammatory properties included lavender, Roman chamomile, cypress, thyme, and frankincense, all right? And then on the analgesic side, those the oils that I've used this week within that roller, I just literally, because I don't want to stand be mixing a blend every single time I'm going to put it on my finger, okay? I wanted to use a roller specifically made with these essential oils in, so I simply put it into this 10 ml roller bottle, and I just roller it onto my knuckle like that. It smells amazing, by the way. So it's really good for the mood too. And I literally just rubbed my knuckle like this. And I'm now going to go over the one that was open as well, because the essential oils actually supported that one to heal very quickly. So I'm just going to go over the knuckle area over here. Now here you can see I've got a massage action, so I'm also already assisting the circulation. But now with the essential oils that are in there, it's just going to speed up the process a little bit. And there's almost no swelling when I look at my hands now. There is still a light, a sort of a purple and a reddish tinge to the area around my knuckle, which is where the skin was starting to bubble up, which obviously I stopped it in its tracks really quickly, because it's almost back to normal size. I'm astonished at how quickly these essential oils were able to support me. So I know I broke up in the middle of that sequence there. So let me just quickly go back to the inflammatory ones that I really like. Lavender, Roman chamomile, cypress, because cypress is also really good for circulation, by the way, thyme and frankincense. And then on the analgesic side, because it can get rather sensitive when you start getting that red and that purple area with the reaction that's going on, cardamom, geranium, peppermint, and then I used rosemary in my case, because I just absolutely love rosemary, and because I've already been using the frankincense and the lavender in the inflammatory part. But you can basically, if you're just going to make the analgesic one, you can replace the rosemary with the frankincense or the lavender, but I used the rosemary. So those essential oils, single essential oils together in a roller bottle, has been really beneficial at supporting me this week. Okay. Then one last thing, obviously, remember to move your fingers, okay? And I'm doing that now because I can feel my fingers are actually quite cold. My toes are quite good because they're right next to a heater and they've got nice warm socks on. But please remember those essential oils next time you're looking for a little bit of additional support. And my best advice would be to catch it before it gets to this stage, okay? Before you get inflamed, before the blood vessels actually start doing what they're not supposed to be doing. So, because that obviously is going to cause the inflammatory reaction, and the inflammatory reaction is good because that's what your body needs to start the healing process, right? So it sends all these molecules there in this inflammatory response with all the molecules and the chemical constituents and everything else in your body that it needs to start healing the tissues, okay? So the essential oils are just going to support that. Wow, someone has just woken up. I've just received like 100 hearts and likes all of a sudden. What did I say? That was amazing. My whole screen was just filled with hearts. Thank you so much. So yeah, please remember to do that. Please remember to go and get a good omega-3 source. I know there's some questions in there which brand I use. I will message you privately. I don't like to talk about brands specifically while I'm doing my live for other products, because this is more about essential oils. Karen Bach has also just joined. You're a little bit late, but you can watch the replay because I will post that in the comments below. All right, and I will send you a message, Jerry. You're asking for my roller blend bottle mix. I will send that to you in a private message because I've just mentioned the single essential oils today, but I'll also send you through the exact ratios. All right, so if you are a little bit overwhelmed, I'd say, or just don't have the time to be able to make your own roller yourself. Oh, Quibus has also just joined, a little late. You can please watch the replay. But I am going to wave at you nonetheless. All right, so fantastic. If you are not going to be making your own roller, my favorite essential oil company actually have amazing blends available that are really good to support improved circulation. And the reason for that is they have hot oils in them. So you can start using essential oil blends that have things like cinnamon and cassia, those kind of things in it, because it's that warming reaction, but also the cooling oils such as peppermint. That also is very revitalizing and energizing and good for the circulatory system. So essential oil blends from my favorite company that are actually really good for supporting good circulation is called Deep Blue. It's a soothing blend, all right? And then there's another one that's called Aroma Touch, which has got different herbs in there, but very suited to be able to increase circulation. And it's actually one of those oils that massage therapists really enjoy using because it's a very subtle smell, but it's really amazing while you're doing while you're doing a massage, basically. Okay, so there we go. I definitely learned a little bit of something extra this morning about the vitamin B3 and the omegas, but I hope you learned something too. And then I hope to see you all again next week, Thursday, for my next live, when we'll be tackling the next support or body system that we are going to support with essential oils, and hopefully with some additional healthier habits that you can incorporate into your life on a daily basis. So thanks for joining. See you all soon. And if you've got any questions about today's live and you want them answered, please pop them into the comments below, obviously below this video. You're also very welcome to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because in there obviously these videos get posted, so you can go and refer back to them. There's actually like a playlist with all these ones that are running on a Thursday for body system support. So yeah, please share if you think that there's someone that's going to benefit from receiving this information, and let's connect. Thank you. See you next Thursday. Cheerio.